Well, the key issues for Tanzania and jointly with our fellow group members, the African group, the LDCs, is to see that the issues which were unresolved in COP17 in Durban last year as sailed through this in this COP18. That's our major objective, and that's what we're looking for. And we know that how the climate change impacts are impacting, especially we developing countries, because of the low technical level which we have in terms of adapting or mitigating the climate change impacts. So sailing through of the outstanding issues which are not resolved in Durban for us is so crucial, and we are looking forward for a successful negotiation in COP18.
Why for developing countries, and in particular the LDCs and the Africa Group, why is it so important that a extension to the Kyoto Protocol is agreed here in Doha?
Well, the Kyoto Protocol is the only legal instrument which was existing or still existing, which at least could oblige the Annex 1 countries to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. We have no other legal instrument which can assist in doing so. So that's why for us we see it as so crucial that the countries should be responsible for the reduction of the greenhouse emissions which emerges from their industrial sector. And if there won't be any legal instrument, it will all us difficult on how can we manage, how can we track the emissions or the amount of greenhouse emissions from different sectors from these parties. Yeah.
Is this about trust more than anything? Because I guess the Kyoto Protocol only covers a very small amount of global emissions.
Yes, I fully agree with you, but the principal issue here is how sensitive and committed the party is, and how the party values, not on its own, but the whole in terms of other countries, reflecting on the impacts which are being generated by the existence or increase of the greenhouse emissions in the environment and their repercussions in our survival and the survival of the rest, and not as a country as it is in the case of some countries which are not a party of the Kyoto Protocol. Yeah.
There was a lot of focus on raising the ambition after Durban. What kind of pressure can the Africa Group and LDCs, how can you ensure that the developed world and the developing world increase the ambition, that we have less talk of great pledges and more delivery?
Well, that's where the dilemma is, in on how ambitious these developed countries will be willing to increase their commitment in reducing the greenhouse gas emissions, whether how fast they will put in place the mechanisms, because we are not referring only on the discussion on verbal commitments. We want a practical commitment, or resorting to what or implementing what we are promising, or what we are expecting to implement. Because convening in conventions like this one, it shouldn't be a daily panacea. It should be something which we are planned to implement on a practical basis, and that's what we're expecting. And for countries which are really willing to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions, for us developing countries, it's a blessing. I say blessing because of the expectation that the impacts emanating from the increase in the greenhouse emissions in the environment will be reduced, and that will decrease the threat which our communities are facing in our own countries. Yep.
And I guess a final point, for many years the African Group and other poorer countries were pleading with the developed world to deliver change. Do you sense there is more confidence amongst the Africa Group and the least developed countries now in terms of demanding this change? Is there more of a is there more confidence amongst your colleagues to say we want to see this and we want to see it now?
Yes, the confidence is still there, but we are conscious on the existing situation in developing countries as well. Some of the developed countries, they have been struck with the economic crisis, as well as other countries like the US, although it's not part of the protocol, but they're just recently coming from election. The countries like Japan, which are also expecting to have election. So with some of the European countries having some economic crisis, as I have said, it might not be to our expectation that we'll receive or we get the commitment on what we're expecting that it should be implemented immediately. It may take time. So also that has to be on our side to be conscious on that, because assuming that situation could be in our case, we couldn't be able to implement it as expected. But our expectation is that things will sail through, the economic crisis will pass, then we can resort back to our commitment of reducing the greenhouse emission and comply with what we promised